Welcome back to Affinity for the Rest of Us, where I pass on to you what I learn as I learn it myself. In this video, I'm going to show you the glitch effect. I've been scrolling through the filters menu to check the effects that I haven't tried yet, and this was one of them. I generally try to create something to show you, and of course me, what the effect can be used for. I'm going to do the same here. Here's a 1972 Ford Pinto. The effect I want is of this car moving fast. For those of you who don't know anything about the Pinto, it can get from 0 to 60 in a mind-blowing 13 seconds. If you bought a standard shift, it could make it to 7 to 9 seconds. My first Pinto was a cute blue 1972 model and it never exploded. Rest in peace, Ralph Nader. To get the effect, I'll click on Filters, and then I want to scroll down until I find Glitch, which is right here. And when you find Glitch, this little box is going to open. Now, this is the live glitch window, and as you can see, you have the method that we're going to use, or several methods that we can use rather, and we can use all these. As I scroll through them, nothing happens to the picture because you actually have to click on it and move some sliders before it'll do anything. For this particular thing, I want to use a glitch called Blast. So I'll click on Blast, move that out of the way so we can see it. And then here we have two sliders, horizontal and vertical. I'm going to go ahead and take this horizontal strength and move the slider. And as you can see, this will do this to my picture. And this is what I want. I want it to look like it's driving pretty fast, and so it's going to go through the air like that. So I think it really doesn't take a whole lot, but I'm going to do this. As you can see, I'm going to make some alterations later on. So I'll keep it like this. Then another thing I'm going to do is down here you have opacity. So I'm going to take the opacity and move it down to like 70%. I think that's what I did, but anyway, yeah, that looks good. 69, 68, 70%, something around there. And that way I won't get such a harsh look. I took a look at some of the blend modes. As you can see, if I move this, down here it says blend modes. And I took a look at some of the blend modes because I'm really into that. And as you can see, we get all sorts of funky little blend modes, which really don't have anything to do with what I'm trying to do. However, this one that's called Divide, it gives a really cool look. So I think I'm going to stick that in my brain for a while and try to remember that, and maybe I can find something to use it for. But I don't want to do that. I want to go back up to normal and get out of there and close the box. Now over here you see that you have this little thing that looks like it's just a pencil that has gone back and forth, and that's the glitch thing. Your glitch filter icon should be inside the background, and it is right here. I'm going to go ahead and name this right here Pinto, and I'm going to name my glitch Blast. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to be using or adding more glitch filters, and I don't want to get too confused about what I'm trying to do. Now, I'm going to select the Pinto layer right here, and with that selected, I'm going to go to Filters and go to Glitch again, and then this time I'm going to open the drop down and go down to something that said light streaks right here. So I'm going to click light streaks, and then I'm going to move the horizontal all the way over. And that's kind of the effect I want. So I want all this glitchy stuff, and I also want light streaks to give it more of a moving through air fast. as you can probably tell by the numbers I gave you, the 0 to 13 seconds, the Pinto never really did. It wasn't that kind of a car. But we can dream, can't we? I loved my little Pinto. I had two of them. Now, I will, so I don't forget about it, I'm going to label this light streaks, so I know what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my Pinto and I've got these two glitches nested underneath my Pinto. So I always like to check things like that so that everything is all good, everything's where it's supposed to be, so I don't get into trouble later. As you can see, if we close this caret, these glitch filters are nested in there also, but I keep everything open. Now, if you look on the left side of the image, there is this stuff over here. This happens because there's a distortion caused by the glitch filter. And there are two ways in which we can fix that. The one way, and I'm going to go ahead and show you this even though I'm not going to use either one of them, is to open each of our glitch filters and go up here and check this box called Preserve Alpha. So if I click that box, it looks worse. So obviously we don't want to do it to that one. So I'm going to come down to Blast and then try it on this one. And then it looks like that. That looks pretty awful too. So we can't do that. So what can we do? Well, we can do one of two things. We can either move this entire thing like that, make it bigger, or what we can do is we can crop it. So let's see if we can, what we can do by moving it. I think I'm going to do that. The last time when I did my dry run, I tried to crop those edges off. And so I'm just going to leave it like this. And let's see if I can't get a lot of that off of there. And just adjust that so we get that. And then we can get rid of those loose edges. And we don't have to see them anymore. Okay. Now I want to add some alterations. So I'm going to click out of that and I'm going to add a mask to the blast filter. And the reason is because when I add this mask, I want to be able to paint on it because I want to paint some of this stuff away. I don't want as many of these blast effects in the front as I have in the back. So I'm going to go down here and add a mask. And then make sure that my mask is in my blast filter. And it is. There it is underneath. So now when I do that, all I have to do is to go over here and click the paintbrush tool and then go to brushes, and I want to select basic and select me a round brush so that I can paint over the front. Another thing I want to do is I want to change the opacity of the brush. I think I'm going to lower the opacity a bit, and we can do that over here. Here's the opacity. I'm going to lower the opacity of the brush a bit. Probably I can just do this, or I can do it up here. Either way, I'm going to lower the opacity of the brush because I don't want to start painting on this and then have it be too harsh and take a lot of them off. And you can kind of tell what's happening over here as I roll over this. And I'm going to turn this down a bit. Okay, so I've got this brush selected, I've got black selected, and I'm going to be painting some of this stuff off, but I don't want it to all be off. That's why I'm painting over with a low opacity like that. And then I might paint over some of the things on the front wheels, some of the stuff on the front lights, and paint a lot of this stuff back in. So now I have something that looks like that, and then most of my speedy stuff is in the back. So I'll just paint over this until I get what I want, and that's why I'm doing that. Maybe paint a little bit over here, paint over some of this stuff here, and now we have less in the front and more in the back. Now another thing I can do is I can create some smoke. I'm on the fence as to whether I like this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, and this is how I did it. I'm going to go down here and go down to Textures and then select Grunge number 1, Grunge pattern 1 right there, and then I'm going to click this to make it smaller. I'm clicking the left bracket key is what I'm doing. And then once I get that, I'm going to paint some smoke in. See how that smoke looks. Well, maybe I need to make sure I'm checking the right thing. Oh, whoops. Okay, I don't want to do that. I want to have the pinto selected when I do that. So make sure the pinto is selected, and now I'm going to paint in the smoke like that. Some smoke under the tires, some smoke out here, and we just have smoke coming out of the back. This car was noted for having the gas tank in the back, and if it was rear-ended, it would catch fire. So I guess if it would catch, I guess if you would rear end it in the back, you'd get some of this smoke. I was rear ended in mine and that never happened to me, so I guess I'm lucky to be alive. So you can create this smoky effect by doing that. I'm sort of on the fence about whether I like this or not. I really kind of don't, but I just wanted to try it, and I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so that's our Pinto. And so now I'm going to move that down so I can get this out of the way. So now I'm going to go to my next tab, and my next tab is called Watercolor. This is going to be pretty straightforward. This is something I got off of Pixabay, and by using the glitch effect, you can create some watercolor effects by using a glitch filter called Scramble. So with this selected, I'm going to go and select glitch, and then I'm going to go down and try and find Scramble. It's down here somewhere. There it is. Scramble. And then I'm going to take this and move it until I get my effect. If you move it over too much, all you get is something that's really pixelated, where I guess you have some use for some of it. I can't think of what use you could have right off the bat, but I'm sure there is. But if you just move the strength a little bit, it kind of gives you that stained glass effect. And notice that since the filter tends to disrupt the edges, and so you're going to have that edge problem. And if I click preserve alpha, then it looks like that, which is sort of an interesting effect. I sort of like that, and I would leave it like that. But if you don't like that, you can just uncheck that. I sort of like this too, and then just crop off these edges so you can have a stained glass effect without those type of edges being involved. Okay, so that's the scramble effect. Now right here I have my VW van, and here for this image I'm going to try to make it look more cool than it does right now. So for this image I'm going to use the waves effect, waves glitch effect. So I'll go to glitch, and then what I want to do is to go down here and look for waves. I don't want this waves. I want the one that says waves color. So I'll click the one that said waves color. Notice that it has number of channels, and it has a number of channels 3. And the 3 color channels are red, green, and blue, RGB, Roy G. Biv. Then all you have to do is to move the strength, and you'll get your wave like that and sort of get a hippie mod look. On this particular one here, you've got this distortion up here that you always have to worry about, but when you check preserve alpha, it actually not only covers it up, but it adds kind of a cool effect, which I kind of like, so I kind of left it like that. Now, I want to give this a blend mode, and after experimenting, I decided to go down here to hard mix, if I can find it. See all these cool things that happen? There's hard light, hard mix, there it is, hard mix. So select hard mix, and this gives it sort of a 60s cartoonish look, which I kind of like. So I went through a lot of these blend modes, and a lot of them were cool. I decided to settle on this one for this particular video. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to go like that. So right here we have our waves. So I'm going to name it so we know which one is which, because I'm going to try another one. I'm going to click on my VW bug. I'm going to go here and go to glitch, and then I'm going to go down and I'm going to look for something that's called channel flip, and it's all the way to the bottom. I'm going to click on channel flip, and we get kind of an interesting thing right here. I kept waves on, so in this case, since my waves is still on, it's going to affect the channel flip, which I'm going to label right now, channel flip. The channel flip will also work with the wave. So in this way, you can see that you can add more than one glitch effect to this, and it'll be kind of interesting. Now, in this case, you don't, the strength thing won't help. See, it won't do anything. What you want to do is experiment with the channel selector. So as I move the channel selector, I get all sorts of cool things like this. I'm kind of liking that one. But if we keep going, we can get this. Then we can move it all the way back. And these are all of the channel flip selections that you, oh, I think I'm liking this one. If I was going to use that, I'll click this preserve alpha to fill some of that in with some color. And since it's the waves effect, it really doesn't matter if this is there or not unless it really bothers you. So there's the channel selector. If I go back all the way to here, then it's going to look like that. But I think I'm liking the number one channel, 2 channels, 3 channels, 4, and 5. Okay, so you can select the one you want and see which one you like the best. So anyway, you can then go out of here and let's try something else. Let's turn off these channels, and we're going to go back to this. And then I'm going to select the VW again. Then I'm going to go to glitch again, and I am going to use the aberration distortion. So I'm going to use aberration distortion and make sure that that's selected and maximize the strength. And it sort of makes you think that you might be on something. But this can give you kind of a cool look. And then you can experiment a little bit more by going down to blend mode. And let's go to hard light. And the hard light really gives you that 1960s LSD effect. That's what you're looking for. And of course, there's all these others down here. But I went with hard light. I clicked hard light, and then this is what we have at the end. If you turn all these others on, and they're just going to look odd. So Turn these off, and then see, you don't really have to delete any of the glitches. All you have to do is to turn the ones on or off that you don't want to use. So in this case, the VW bug, all we have are the aberration, and I'm going to aberration. So here we have the aberration turned on, which gives you, the effect you're looking for. Then if I turn that on, we're back to normal. Here's channel flip, and we can turn that off, and then waves, which, gives you our cartoon thing, channel flip. Turn that off, aberration. Okay, so there's our van. Okay, now the next thing I don't have a big picture for the next one. I'm going to have to go new and then select that and create a new document, because I'm going to need to create something here. So I want a rectangle over this, and remember, just because you have a new document doesn't mean you actually have a layer there, and to prove it to you, go look over here and you'll see there's nothing there. So in order to get a rectangular layer, I've got to put one on there. So I'm going to do that, and then what I'm going to do is to go to the fill tool, or what I call the gradient tool, and then I'm going to select an elliptical gradient, and I actually want this gray white elliptical gradient. So, well, it's going to be gray black. So what I'm going to do is to move this down a little bit. It's going to be down here. Move this up a little bit. I'll probably need to adjust it a little bit more. So we have that like that. And then I'm going to go up here, and then this, the darker side, I'm going to make this black. And then the lighter side, I'm going to make a light gray. Like that. And then I can always adjust it if I don't like it after I get the pictures in. I want to make sure that my rectangle, I don't have any edges that are showing. Okay, now I need to bring in two pictures. So I'm going to go File and Place, and I'm going to bring in this clock. So I'm going to bring in a clock. I want two of them, so I'll right click and duplicate that clock, and then move the duplicate over here. I'll turn on snapping so I can line them up. I don't know how important it is that I have them lined up, but it just looks better. Okay, now I'll turn off snapping. And now I'm going to go File and Place. And then find, where did you go? Find this woman. And then put this woman in here. This is my Excedrin headache woman. And so now I'm going to add some effects that will make her sort of look like she's in the twilight zone. So for the clock layer, I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to go to Effects and Glitch. And the glitch effect I'm going to apply is the waves one. This one is not going to be the color waves one, it's going to be the plain one. It wouldn't do us any good anyway because this isn't colored. So then I'm going to take the strength and move it all the way up so that our clock looks like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing to this clock and add the glitch, and then go down to waves, and then turn the strength all the way up. So now we have kind of our twilight zone time period. Now for the woman, I'm going to add something a little bit different so that she's more into the anxiety, I'm in the twilight zone effect. So for the woman, I'm going to go to glitch. And then for this effect, I want this aberration. So for the woman, I want the aberration, and then I'm going to turn it up until I get the kind of aberration I wanted. I'm going to turn it all the way up because that's what I really want. So now we have our woman that appears to be in the twilight zone. On this, the rectangle, I'm going to click that again and then go back up here. And then I want to see if I can adjust this to where I want the edges to be really black, and then she's kind of like that. So I have her like that. This is the effect I want. All I needed was the ticking in the background, but I don't have that. And we are in the twilight zone. So as you can see, there are all sorts of ways that you can use the glitch filter. You're only limited by your imagination. You can also help support my channel and avoid any glitches by subscribing and ringing that notification bell. That helps get my channel more attention. Also, share my channel with others by hitting the share arrow. My channel and I run on caffeine, so buy me a coffee if you're so inclined by clicking on the link in the channel description. My present brew is Pete's Big Bang. But more important, give this a try and create your own artwork. No telling what you can come up with, and I bet it's better than mine.